Hi, John McElroy here talking all things automotive. As you must have heard, Ford CEO Jim Farley is splitting up the company. Part of Ford, what they call Ford Blue, is going to go on developing internal combustion cars and trucks just like they ever did. The other part, what they call Ford Model E, is only going to develop and manufacture EVs. And it's being split off to operate as its own standalone business, still within the company, but operating completely separate from the ICE end of the business. There are so many aspects of all this that we can talk about, but for now, let's just bore down into one of them: car dealers, the traditional franchise system. Jim Farley says Ford has to sell electric cars like Tesla does. But as you know, Tesla doesn't use car dealers. Yeah, it's got some showrooms and some distribution centers, but the buying process itself is done all online. And the customer only interfaces with the company, Tesla, not some independent franchise owner. Ford, of course, has lots of franchise dealers, thousands of them. And it's legally bound to continue doing business with them because dealer franchise laws in each and every one of the 50 United States make sure it has to do it that way. So how can Farley sell cars like Tesla does and yet not violate franchise laws? That is going to be a sticky wicket. But let's look at some possible scenarios. The biggest advantage of a build-to-order model like Tesla has is that each car that gets shipped from the factory goes right to the customer who bought it. That's not what happens with the franchise system. Dealers buy cars in bulk from the factory. Then they park them on their dealership lots and wait for customers to show up. Dealers do a decent job of ordering the kind of cars that they think customers want, but they're far from perfect. Despite having acres of inventory, they usually don't have exactly what a customer wants. So dealers usually have to offer a discount to customers so that they'll take a car that really isn't the color that they want, or doesn't have the features they need, or has optional equipment they're not really interested in. In other words, the franchise system usually does not deliver customers the car that they were dreaming about. Meanwhile, back at the factory, they're just cranking out cars and trucks. A typical assembly plant makes about 1,000 cars a day, which also means that 1,000 cars have to get loaded on trains or trucks and hauled off the premises every single day. It's a non-stop, constant logistical process, and it's not perfect either. So sometimes you've got logistical slip-ups where Mustang convertibles end up at snowy dealerships in the dead of winter in Minneapolis. In other words, with the franchise system, cars are not shipped to their point of optimum demand. That's an important point. Let me say it again. With the franchise system, cars are not shipped to their point of optimum demand. But with the build-to-order model like Tesla uses, they are. All cars go exactly to the point of optimum demand. They go directly to the customers who spec them out exactly the way that they want them. And doing it that way, deliveries to the point of optimum demand with zero inventory, takes a tremendous amount of friction and waste out of the system. Friction and waste is cost. So the build-to-order model is significantly cheaper than the dealer franchise model. And that's why Jim Farley wants to sell electric cars like Tesla does. He needs to take that cost out to get the kind of profit margins that Tesla gets. So how can he do that and not violate franchise laws? One option may be to treat Ford Model E as a separate legal entity that makes and sells its own cars. That might allow it to offer existing dealers a new franchise agreement that would allow it to sell EVs more like Tesla does. Look, however it works out, Ford is going to need a new franchise agreement. Under this scenario, customers shopping for electric Fords or Lincolns would do everything online. They'd spec out the car they want, even arrange for financing online, and buy it. That car would then be shipped to a participating dealership lot near them. But all the dealer would do is unload the car from the car hauler, maybe do some cleanup or prep work, then let the customer come pick it up or even drive it to their home. The dealership would collect a fee for every car it processed, and it would also be where customers could have their EVs serviced or repaired. That would allow dealers to play a role in how Ford sells EVs even though to the customer it would feel like he or she was dealing with Ford, not the dealership, and Ford would save a ton of money selling EVs. From what Ford has said publicly, it thinks that some dealers will want to sell EVs, while others will just want to go on selling their internal combustion cars and trucks and not deal with EVs at all. So it would be up to the dealers to decide whether they want to participate or not. It's going to be fascinating to see how this develops. If Ford is serious about catching or even surpassing Tesla, its go-to-market strategy, the way it retails cars using a build-to-order model, is going to have to play a critical role in achieving that goal. But can Jim Farley really pull it off? Can he get enough of Ford's dealers to go along with a new sales model where they're still involved, but not entirely exactly? If he can, it's going to be the biggest revolution in automotive retailing that we've seen since the first franchise agreement was ever written. Anyway, that's how I see this developing, and I welcome your feedback, and I also invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel.